Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP, and we got
Mickey B. Fresh.
nice. Mickey, do you have the AC on? Oh, no. I can just hear it in the background. But yeah. So with that, today we're going to get into some talk about a couple new signal providers, including some new announcements from Flare Finance. It looks like the Songbird to US dollar price has basically stayed at like 28 cents the entire day. So that's interesting. The volume has dropped off significantly since yesterday. So we'll still be keeping an eye on that. Also, for anybody that may have purchased Songbird on Bitrue, what's coming out of their Twitter account is that there was a 24-hour like hold period until you could withdraw those, which I believe is whenever the Songbird hits your account. So that could be variable depending on if you bought or if the airdrop didn't come at the same time as somebody else. If it's been 24 hours since you took any action with it, I would go ahead and reach out to their support team, because that's probably the only people that are going to be able to help you at this point in regards to that. And then, Mickey, one thing I do want to address before we get into the meat of the show is, so yesterday we kind of talked about in our video the play I made on selling Songbird. I bought half of that back around 26 cents. And really the only reason I did it is because it took off so high and shocked me. And it just was comparing that to the rest of the market. It didn't make sense for the price to be that high. And it gave me a chance to increase my Songbird holdings. So there you go. That's why I did it. And that'll be the end of that conversation, and won't be sharing any kind of plays like that in the future. So with that, Vicky, I'll let you jump in here.
Yeah, well, I got to take advantage of opportunities where they present themselves. No, I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. I just stayed, but congratulations, you made some money out of it. And now moving forward, though, the delegation to the signal providers is what you really wanted to get back in for, right? So that's exactly what you need to do by Wednesday every week. So if there is opportunities that present themselves where you do want to get back in, you can, swing trade. I don't, advise doing that. It's not financial advice. That was a move Patty made. We're going to have other use cases for Songbird tokens. What we're going to be able to do is use these on things like ExFi and DeFi platforms, so you don't have to take that risk of swing trading back and forth, because that's not always going to work out so good for you. But the use case for these tokens, I think, is more important than the actual where the value is going to come from. And now today we have a new signal provider that was announced. Who is this? This is a professional node operator?
Yes, so I'll pull that up here. They're called Kyson Pool. They have approximately 47 million votes delegated to them for this next voting period. So that'll lock in sometime probably on Thursday morning. And so with that, we'll go over to their website, Kyson Pool. They have a Twitter account as well. They currently offer staking services on Cardano, Harmony, Terra, Cosmos, Desmos, which I actually haven't heard of that one before. I guess that's maybe is one of the other like chains in the Cosmos ecosystem, just based on the name, and then also Kava. So, this is a firm that has already been building infrastructure and projects on top of other blockchains before, and they're now expanding into Songbird and then Flare when that launches. So this is another signal provider that's popped up that I think could be of possible interest delegating to. Obviously, we don't have any success rate data on them yet. So, you're going to take a chance as opposed to maybe knowing some of the other signal providers after the first week. But I do think there'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. And, what we saw, like Bifrost Oracle perform pretty well. And, they've built some other projects before in infrastructure around like the XRP Ledger. So, just looking at different signal providers that come out, many more will be coming in the future, and especially on Flare Network as well.
Yeah, and this helps decentralize the signal providers. So the more that we have, the less voting power each one will have. So we're going to get to a point where nobody will have 10% or over 10%, where then it gets the diluted rewards. So this is good to see more signal providers. I think we expect to see, I think Hugo said at some point, they're trying to get to like 75 to 100, I believe is the goal.
Oh, yeah, signal providers in total. Yeah, I believe that's what he said as well. So we're at like 20 now, so not bad for the Canary network getting going. And also, one thing I wanted to note, and I kind of was chatting with one of the guys running a signal provider on Discord, And it seems like the rewards are coming out at like, weird times. It's not kind of like continuous, maybe like we thought. So we're trying to figure out what's going on like that. You may have noticed, hey, I'll get a burst of rewards and then they won't come in for a while. I don't think it's because if you look at the reward rates, it shouldn't be like that with some of the signal providers. So that's something we'll have to get some more information on and see what the deal is. I don't know. Maybe something, didn't work correctly the first time around and they're making fixes, or it's really random as far as the burst, but we just don't know at this point. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Mickey.
Yeah, the documentation on it's very difficult to read. That's on GitLab, but I know there's different steps. There's like the minting of the fresh new tokens, which is the inflation, and then there's the rounds that go for the voting, and then those rewards are put in a place in a pool manager, and then they're sent out. So there's different steps. I don't know how that all takes place. So until we get documentation from Flare, I'm not even going to try to explain when it's sent to you. All we need to know is it's going to build up and it's going to be claimable on Saturday. That's really all you need to know. You don't really need to know exactly how it all comes out and all the technical mumbo jumbo. We just need to know you need to delegate by Wednesday night or Thursday morning, and then on Saturdays, you claim the tokens. That's about it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to as a user, what you really need to know. And then there's the whole idea of picking the signal providers. But you don't really need to know all the technicals, I think, in the background, Patty. We can explain those, and we probably will in a future video. But just for the users to know, you claim on Saturday. So you're not going to be able to claim your rewards. I know there's a lot of questions. How do I claim my rewards? You can't do anything right now. FTSO.UK put out a very nice visual on this to show that there's we're in the delegation cycle now, and then there'll be the next cycle between Thursday and Saturday.
Sorry, repeat that.
There's the cycle between Thursday and Saturday. That's the lock-in. So there's a random time between Thursday morning and Saturday when your delegation gets locked in. So you don't know what time that's going to be. So that's why you want to do it by Thursday. And then when that's locked in, you'll get rewards from that point all the way through to the next Saturday. And then you could claim them.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
So next Saturday, but
yeah, Saturday is a claim day. So rewards for a new epoch will start on Saturday, and then you'll claim your rewards the following Saturday. That also means a new reward epoch will start whenever you're claiming rewards on a Saturday as well. And then the lock-in period is Thursday to that time on Saturday when it starts. So, if you want to be safe and delegate new Wrap Songbird or change your delegations, then I would just make sure you do it by, probably by the time you go to bed. Wednesday night, maybe people that are, more on the east side of the world, just thinking of like a flat map, then you could probably do it in the morning at times on Thursday. It's just that the lock-in could happen like relatively early on Thursday morning. So, I think it's best to be ahead of the game and looking at that like Wednesday night as far as if you want to change delegations. So I think those are some good rules of thumb. And
and you don't have to change delegations. So say you just did nothing, right? Say you just left it. It's going to automatically delegate to the ones you have, and then you'll just continually accruing rewards, and then you claim them on Saturdays. Now, if you forget to claim on that Saturday, I believe you have 30 days to claim from that Saturday when you actually are able to claim them. So it's a 30-day claim period, and I think that's more than long enough for most people. I mean, you shouldn't forget about your rewards there. Also, another thing to just touch on here, I know we said this in the last video, but the rewards on Songbird are going to be considerably lower than what they're going to be on Flare. Flare, they're going to roughly be 6 to 7 times higher because the inflation rate, even though it's still 10%, it's 10% of 100 billion. So that's a lot more going to be coming out weekly than there is on Songbird, because Songbird's 10% of 15 billion. So that's annually. So there's going to be a lot more rewards coming, but at the same time, we might have a higher participation rate on the Flare network. So, that will balance out there too. And we also might have a higher value of the Spark tokens. So there's multiple variables here. So we can't just say like, hey, this is the APY. It'd be nice if we could just do that, but I don't think, Patty, we're ever going to be able to come up with a point where you say, hey, this is just the APY, right?
I do think we can do that, but probably a couple of years from now.
Okay.
So especially with Flare, since the supply, so the inflation's 10% of 100 billion, but only 15 billion of that supply is out in the first month, as opposed to Songbird, it's 10% of 15 billion. But I guess not all the supply is out, but theoretically it should be. So I imagine we'll see higher participation on Flare, so that'll kind of cut into some of it as well. It's just something that we got to watch. The idea for that elongated distribution was for the APY to be higher from the FTSO, at least at a base level. But once we can get an idea of, we'll know the inflation rate, and we actually, after enough time, we can have like, what's the average amount of wrapped Songbird delegated, then you can start coming up with potential APYs. There's just a lot more variables that go into it. So I think it's going to take a while for that. And I just expect that you're going to get variable APYs. And as more people participate, and let's say you're getting the same level of success rate and the same amount of tokens delegated, your rate should start to decrease over time. But we'll see how long that takes. I mean, we still have a lot of exchanges holding the Songbird tokens, which, Mickey, interestingly enough, I think, it's around like 3 to 4 billion Songbird tokens estimated that are held by exchanges right now that haven't delivered them. And for me, I think that's helping with the price so far, especially with the volume drop off today. It seems like everybody that was willing to sell at this level has sold, and everybody that was willing to buy at this level has bought. And it's basically a straight line for hours on the chart now. It's actually really interesting. But just know there is more supply that could come on the market. That could take months for some of these exchanges to release it. Some of the exchanges may do it by the end of the week. It's just kind of hard to know. And that's definitely uncertainty around the supply of the Songbird token, I'd say, in the near term.
Yeah, though I definitely agree with you there. That's what's keeping it even, where the sellers are exhausted, and the buyers are kind of exhausted with staying at a flat price. And there's really only one market that this is trading on, and that's BitShare right now. But there's no doubt that's going to change in the near future here as more exchange list, and they will, because this is a big community, and some of these will also release their tokens and maybe not list, like Bitstamp, for example. They said they're going to release it, they just haven't yet. And now things like Uphold and iTrust, they're based on their liquidity providers. Uphold can't release unless their liquidity providers and custodians, go through. They get the okay from them. I know Celsius gave a very garbage answer, in my opinion, on the video I saw, because they said that, well, their custodian Fireblocks has to go through a whole security check of the whole network and everything. And I understand that, but you don't need that to actually distribute the token. To list the token, yes, I can understand that. And it seems like to me, and I'm not trying to knock Celsius, but it seems like they're just holding the tokens hostage so that they could build out a list services, get their compliance ready, and they don't want you to take them off the platform. They have no problem distributing them. What do they need to do to distribute them? They just need to connect to a node on the Songbird network, or build their own node, which is fairly simple, which Patty and I were able to do on the Songbird network, and then just distribute out to their users. It's really not that difficult infrastructure to build, to distribute. To list and offer products and services, yes, that takes a little more work. So I think we should continue pushing these exchanges and CeFi providers, and give them those 4 options. Obviously, Celsius is choosing option 3, which is hold your tokens hostage and wait till we're ready to distribute them to you. That's the option they chose. Coinbase is giving us no answer. I mean, at least give us something. I mean, I still don't agree with Celsius's answer, but you know what? At least they gave you something. Coinbase is just saying nothing, in my opinion. That's not good. They got to say something at some point here.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of wish Coinbase wasn't a thing, but
yeah, but they are. I know.
I will say their platform is very easy to use, which I think is one of the biggest drivers behind them being a huge exchange. So, I mean, props to them in that regard. I feel like they don't do a lot of stuff that I feel like is helpful to the decentralization of crypto and that kind of stuff. But, aside from that, Mickey, I think the next thing is we can address this Flare Finance blog that came out yesterday, which I found very interesting. It's kind of for the announcement of their launch for their signal provider called DeFi Oracles. So this is the symbol you'll see. Kind of looks like one of those, like, I forget, I don't know what these are called, but going along with the samurai.
Oh,
theme.
I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. If somebody knows it in the comments,
in the chat, I feel like somebody will. Yeah,
it's at the tip of my tongue.
I'll go back and watch that samurai documentary on Netflix, so maybe I'll find out. But yeah, so with that, DeFi Oracles is launching on Songbird and will also be on Flare. They also said that it will be running parallel. Running parallel to our signal provider, we've launched Flare Index, a service that parses and sorts the data from every block. Not many people know this, but some of the largest protocols on Ethereum utilize the graph. So I believe this is ticker GRT. They actually trade this on Coinbase, I believe. And it's an indexing protocol. So this allows like businesses or developers to purchase index data, which makes it a lot easier for you to kind of mess around with and try and get some information from. And additionally, I believe there'll be some free options for just general retail holders like us to get some access to the data as well. I think one of the things they were looking to include was a button where you could put in your address and it'll take a snapshot, it'll take a look at the whole blockchain, and then it will tell you where all your assets are. So, maybe if you have stuff in different places, it could be a good way to kind of get a glance of, where is everything on the Flare or Songbird network in the future. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, I love data analysis things. So that one excites me more.
It's like the Google of blockchains. That's what they call the graph, because it's able to look inside there even deeper than I think the regular Songbird Explorer can, because this would even go into the smart contracts and everything. But actually, how would it differ from the Explorer?
How different?
Yeah.
It's going to provide way more information, and you're going to be able to manipulate the data if you pull it out of the index. So like, let's say, you wanted to run some machine learning algorithms on transactions on a daily basis, and then couple that against what is the price doing to see if transaction volume affects price of the Spark token. That is something you could use that data for, I would imagine. And basically when they index it, it just makes it a lot easier for a computer to read and much more efficient. So it's kind of like just providing, it's a good service, I think, to have provided, and I'm glad that they're doing it. So
now, how will this affect their signal provider then? Now,
I don't know if it's actually going to affect the Flare index thing. I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with the signal provider. I mean, certainly I imagine they could use the data from Flare index, and maybe that could make theirs improve in the future, but that's just me speculating around that. So I can't say for sure.
So these signal providers, just so everyone knows, just going to explain this one more time for anyone who's newer and trying to understand this. The signal providers are pulling price feeds from the whole market of about 10 different assets. So you got, Songbird USD, you got XRP USD, you got Litecoin, you got XLM, you got ADA. I think Bitcoin Cash is on there. And it's pulling all these price feeds in from all these different places in the market. And the signal providers choose where they bring them in from. So really what these signal providers doing is providing price discovery and the most accurate prices for the F asset system when it goes live. So this is a core component here, this whole FTSO and all these signal providers, for that F asset system to run in a trustless manner, to where you don't have to trust a single oracle there. If it goes down, you're not trusting that one. You get this whole decentralized system and running it through a time series. So that's why the Oracle system is built there for the F asset system when it does come online.
There you go. And
so that's the main reason. I think it could be used for other things in the future, of course. And any application could really tap into those price feeds.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if we'll see signal providers partner with dApps in the future. Like maybe they just need a really specific data input to bring onto the network, but they don't necessarily want it to go through the FTSO. That's something you could see them partner maybe with 2 signal providers, and they feel like they don't need as many for whatever data they're bringing on. Maybe it's like, imagine if there's a sports betting decentralized application, and you just need to be like, you need to say, oh, here's the price from the Cowboys-Eagles game at the end of the game. Maybe 3 signal providers pulling that for you is good enough so that the smart contracts could say, okay, so this person covered or this team won, so the payout goes to this address. And they could use like an oracle in that way to signal that for the smart contract to send whoever won the bet to whichever party it should go to.
Good analogy. Yeah, no, there's definitely other use cases for all these signal providers. They are oracles. I mean, you could call them oracles. They're calling them signal providers in this case, but that's what they are. They're oracles, just to make it easy for everyone to understand.
Yeah.
That's also a good analogy.
Yeah, I got another one for you. So let's say, so like one thing that I know Hugo and his team, they're really into derivatives, also commodity derivatives. And they used an example. I don't remember if it was in a blog, Mickey, or maybe that speech they
Oats,
had at Interledger. Yeah, about oat futures, right? Or something like
blog,
that.
the blog. Yeah.
Yeah, blog. Yeah. So they talk about basically like, in the future, we could see derivatives markets around projected forecasts for weather during the summer or the fall, maybe when crops have to be harvested. And you could use an oracle to pull in real time weather data, and that could go into pricing derivatives as far as hedging, a bad crop season or something like that. Or maybe you're doing really well and you want to lock in profits and make sure that like some kind of weather event doesn't just destroy your farm and you're left with no money. That's another example you could use in the future. So it's pretty far ranging with oracles. And then Mickey, to get
Derivatives are
in.
going to be a big thing in the future. So,
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
sorry, you cut out.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, decentralized derivatives. This system allows you to build decentralized derivatives. It's something, that's coming. We know the derivative market in the traditional sense is huge, right? But it's not like, XRP is just going to move into that derivative market and all these cryptos are going to move into that derivative market. No, there's going to be a new derivative market created that's going to be on the blockchain and part of DeFi. So I think we got to understand that. I know people are like, oh, it's quadrillions in the derivative market. XRP is going to settle. No, it's not. The derivative market's got to move to the blockchain for things that are on chain to settle with it. But that's coming. And this is kind of a core component here you need for the Oracle system and synthetic assets. Everything, if you could pull a price for it, you could create an asset for it. That's basically what you're able to do with the blockchains and the smart contracts. As long as you have that secure, decentralized price feed that's guaranteed, you could create any type of assets and derivatives you want.
Absolutely. And so going farther into what DeFi Oracles is doing that's super interesting while they're using the signal provider on Songbird Network. So basically, they put it, a vote for DeFi Oracles is a vote for ecosystem growth, is a one-of-a-kind STSO with goals to operate dually as the most accurate source of pricing information and first ever community-sourced liquidity generating oracle. So this is the part that I really like the idea they have here. So DeFi Oracles pledges to allocate 100% of newly minted rewards. So this is the commission rate or anything they earn with their own Songbird that they will be taking from anybody that delegates to them. And this will be less any operating cost to maintain the signal provider. And what they will do is they will lock up the Songbird tokens on Flare loans in a CDP, mint Canary dollars, which is a stable coin, and then they will lock up the Canary dollars and some of their Songbird tokens on Flare X in a Songbird Canary dollar liquidity pool. So why is this important, Mickey?
Well, this is actually brilliant design here. I really like this.
Great.
So they're using the Songbird that's earned from the inflation rewards as collateral to basically create these decentralized Canary dollars that are pegged to USD, and then kickstart the liquidity pool. So now this is how you get that liquidity pool going. So you're gonna have Songbird and Canary dollars, but you got to get the Canary dollars from somewhere. Somebody's got to mint those. So they're going to just use that commission and all those rewards, like Patty said, as collateral. So I think it's a great way to get it going without them having to do it in like a centralized way, like where they have to put up the things themselves, the Songbird do it. They're able to get the Songbird actually from the rewards. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing this. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of their signal provider is going to be utilized in their ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add, Mickey, I do think that they'll have to manually manage the collateral like from the team,
True.
But it's just them saying any profits they make for the first, 64 days will go to providing liquidity in that pool, which is awesome because, let's say, you get some Songbird and for whatever reason you need some cash or fiat, or you just want to, redistribute some of your Songbird rewards to another project. You don't have to keep all of them in Songbird all the time. You could go swap it for a Canary dollar and hold it as a stable coin. That also could let you go into the stability pool in the Flare Loans platform as well, which can let you own DFLR. because you'll earn rewards for being in the stability pool with Canary dollars. Also, you'll be providing stability to the loans ecosystem. And we really know that stablecoins are a huge part of DeFi and really allow them to grow. So, I think this is just all good stuff. And I just really love the idea. I mean, they could be, I know they have a partnership, I believe, with Wintermute, Mickey, but
Yes.
maybe they don't want to pay them to do market making on ExFi. They'd rather save whatever they're going to, or however they're going to get them to do that and have them do it on Flare Finance. So this is a good way to kind of bootstrap that.
Can we just explain how is this Canary dollar different than Tether and USDC? Because I know we use stablecoin in place of many different things, but this is a very different type of stablecoin than Tether and USD. So what makes this one different?
I think this is good time for whiteboard time, Mickey.
Or blackboard time.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, I got dark mode on. So let's imagine it's like white chalk. So let's say this is Flare loans. And let's say you're over here and you have some SGB. What you can do is lock this in a collateral debt position, which is going to be a smart contract. And so let's say it's connected here to Flare loans and locked in. For doing that, you can take out Canary dollars. So the system, if you have enough collateral backing, will issue out whatever amount of Canary dollars to the minimum threshold, which is going to be 110% collateral. And then from there, you have some options. You can either use your Canary dollar somewhere else. You could sell it into another asset. And all you have to do is manage this collateral position and keep it above 110% of the total amount borrowed. Or if you get this Canary dollar, they actually have something else over here that's called a stability pool. So a stability pool is basically a bunch of people staking Canary dollars in it. And as, let's say, the price of Songbird goes down, we may have some people get liquidated because they were too risky with their collateral positions. So with that, in an instance where somebody gets liquidated, some of the liquidated Songbird would then go over here for the people that have Canary dollars in the stability pool. So they basically would swap some of their Canary dollars to Flare loans that would pay off the bad debt from the liquidation, but they would get this Songbird token that got liquidated given to them, and it would be at a cheaper rate than what's available on the open market. And that is because you have to be over collateralized by at least 10%. So that, Mickey, I don't know if you want to add anything there to.
Yeah, I just want to add in. So when somebody gets liquidated, say you were the person who got liquidated, you would keep your Canary dollars that you borrowed, but they would liquidate the collateral. So the most you could lose is 10% there. So that 10% is the difference that would be gained by those stability pool users.
Nice.
My neighbor saw.
It's all good. So that's generally how this is going to work. Also, if you want to be a liquidator, those are going to be manual, and you have to have Canary dollars staked in the stability pool. In that instance, there'll be kind of a list on the platform, and it will have a bunch of the CDPs listed. Maybe this one's at 100% collateral, so you could liquidate it. Maybe the next one's at 111% collateral, so it's really close to liquidation. And if you're in the stability pool, you can actually manually liquidate an under collateralized position and make some yield off that. Also, at the same time,
wouldn't now everyone who's participating in that pool earn part of that SGB that was liquidated then?
Yeah, they earn some of it. Yeah.
So
it's kind of unclear since they haven't put out the white paper,
And-
how it gets distributed between the manual liquidator and the rest of the pool isn't clear to me at this point.
But they're also earning automatically deflare for just being in there, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if you stake Canary dollars there, you will earn deflare over time.
Now, when this is on the Flare network DeFi ecosystem for Flare Finance, you'll earn YFIN, I believe, right?
Yes.
All right, so that's a little different. I know there's a lot of different things going on here with ExFi and Flare Network, but the first thing that's upcoming is this right here, is ExFi. This is the thing that is coming up next. There's no snapshot coming in like the next near future. I know there's a lot of talk of that. That's not happening until 30 days after Flare Network goes live. So we got a ways to go for that. Yeah, we got a ways to go for that. So don't worry about any other snapshots taking place in the next month or two. It's just not going to happen. That's a ways away. What is happening is this ExFi platform. So that's why we're talking about that right now.
Yes, absolutely. And Mickey, to kind of finish up with this blog here, I wanted to add, so they state that by doing this, since they're locking up Songbird, it will help increase the scarcity of the Songbird token and increase on-chain liquidity for holders in the form of a stable coin. And then they also say once added, this liquidity will never be removed. So that's kind of a dedication from them to the Songbird network and ExFi that there will always be some liquidity between Songbird and Canary dollars. So I love that they're doing that, and they'll just let it stay in the pool at all times. Additionally, they say all fees generated from the liquidity pool will be accrued and transferred to the yield cloud, so APY cloud, Kakibo, whatever you want to call that, in the form of the Spark token come main network launch. So they'll take any fees that are generated from all the liquidity they put in the liquidity pool. And when it's time for the APY cloud to go live, they will swap those assets for the Spark token. And if you're staked with YFin or YFlare in the governance staking pool on Flare Finance, you will get some of the Spark token. So
yeah, this is really nice how they threw in there that scarcity aspect. So scarcity does play a role here. And what this is doing is locking up Songbird tokens. So every Canary dollar that is issued is backed by Songbird here. So that's going to lock up more. And I think that will help its value over the long term. And we're going to have the same thing going on with many assets on the Flare network. There'll just be more assets that you could use as collateral. You know, you could use FXRP over there. You'll be able to use YFlare. You'll be able to use Spark. So this helps, you know, every dollar that's basically minted in these decentralized stablecoins, say it be YUSD or Canary dollar, is backed by crypto. So I think that's just like a great design, and it's done so well for Ethereum with MakerDAO. So the ETH token was used to back DAI, and look how much Ethereum has ran up. And people say, well, why has it ran up? It's ran up because there's utility. This is the utility that's taking place, you know, on the Ethereum ecosystem, and these are all the types of utilities that are going to take place right here on Songbird. So we just need to be aware of what utility is. And I'm going to keep hammering that home because it just doesn't seem to be getting across. You know, but hopefully it will soon. Like, utilities here. Hello.
yeah, it definitely is. And Mickey, to wrap up this blog here, so I don't know what this part means actually, but I'm kind of curious about it to say, in addition to running one of the largest independent marketing firms in the ecosystem. So I don't know what that is actually. And then
I think they're calling it. Hold on. I think they're talking about themselves.
That's what I'm thinking. Which
Finance.
I mean,
they are good marketers. I mean,
they are. The videos are outstanding. I mean, if anybody remembers that trailer from New Year's Eve last year, that was a sweet trailer.
They do understand the XRP community very well. I mean, I do have to give them credit. They understand what makes us tick. They understand that not everyone here is going to be a DeFi expert, and they're going to need some very user-friendly applications. They saw how the NFT took off. So I think they are able to understand the community, and they're not just like these random devs sitting back behind computers not paying attention to the community. I think they've done a great job engaging and marketing, even though they are anonymous here. So there's some unique, you know, in conditions around how they have done things. But I got to say, so far, everything they've done seems to be pointing in the right direction, but we haven't seen the final product yet. So until we've seen the product and actually used it, then, you know, we could go from there and say more.
Yep. And the last part I just really want to point out is they have spent $250,000 plus on security audits. We know they're doing more. They're doing 3 rather. And then also they're going to hire a firm when Flare Finance goes live to monitor the network for
security
any sketchy or attacking security
as a service. Yes.
Yeah. And they also state they haven't had any VC funding yet. So I imagine the team either has some pretty solid angel investors or they're guys that have made a decent amount of money in their past lives. So good for them. But it does seem like they'll probably want to take some at some point. And they do mention for investors, you know, some of the token allocation that's going to the team also includes investors in the team. But they really aren't taking that much of the total token supply. They're not taking any of the YFin, and I think it's like 10 or 20% of YFlare. So it's pretty low as far as, you know, the token distribution they're getting.
Yeah, and there's no token sales here. So there's no private token sale to that we know of to any institutions, and there's none to the public. So this is a good thing, just like Flare. No public sale, and Flare Finance, no public sale. So a lot of these tokens are going to be distributed through airdrops like Flare is doing, and then Flare Finance is doing an airdrop, and then the rest of the distribution is going to take place through liquidity mining for YFin. So you have to provide liquidity to basically mine the new YFin tokens. And then with Flare Network, the F asset system, when you mint F assets, you earn Spark. That's the rest of the distribution. The other half of it is going to come out in those rewards, where the first half came out in the airdrop. So just hope everyone understands here how they're able to distribute these tokens. It's one of the hardest things possibly to do. And Proof of Work does it through mining. Proof of Stake does it through usually token sales at first. And then they'll give the network rewards to the validators and the stakers. But see, Flare's doing it a different way, and even Flare Finance here. So I think it's really brilliant on how they're doing the token distributions. And that kind of gets understated a lot. But like even Joseph Lubin said, who came from Ethereum, that's the hardest thing to do. If somebody could figure out to do it better than how we did it with Proof of Work and these private token sales, well, then they'll take a leap forward. And I feel like Flare is doing it much better. And even now Flare Finance with the dApps than a lot of these other ones. Uniswap, super successful with their airdrop. Compound, super successful with their airdrop. So, I mean, you have to look at what model Flare Finance is going off of. And it's worked out pretty well for Uniswap and Compound so far.
Absolutely. And Mickey, there was one other topic I kind of wanted to get into as far as, just thinking about stuff on Flare and Songbird and earning into the future. So, I just want to point out that me and Mickey are very much excited about Flare and Songbird. We wouldn't have done everything we've done over the past year at this point if we weren't. But, that also doesn't mean that we're going to hold the tokens for our entire life. To me, that's just not really practical, and things are just changing at an ever increasing rate. So just one thing, to keep in mind, if, you're getting a ton of rewards, it never hurts to, sell maybe 10% of them every month when you get them in and have some stable coins. You can still earn yield off stable coins, and that can protect you when the market goes down. Also, you can buy back in when the market goes down as well. So I just kind of want to throw that point out there. Certainly, maybe I'll take some of my Spark yield. I'll definitely be recompounding that in the FTSO, but maybe some really cool sidechain project pops up on the XRP ledger next year. And if I don't have fiat, I can reinvest some of the earnings that I've had from Flare or Songbird into that. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. There's going to be many opportunities, and, just kind of keep your eyes open and, be willing to kind of come up with a strategy around that stuff.
Yep, just to add to that a little, the price of assets isn't always everything when you're gaining wealth. And earning rewards and earning more of the assets, it could be accumulating wealth without the price necessarily going up. But a trader who's trading that asset is not making anything because they're just looking at the price. But somebody there who's sitting in the liquidity pool and they're earning daily yield, or they're staking it, they're earning compounding of that same asset. So even if that price isn't going up, the trader's making nothing, but the participation user is continuously earning. So I think a lot of this crypto market has always been about TA, speculation, and trading, and this. And now we're kind of transforming into a new market where now you could be a participant and a user and compound through earning these network rewards, and then through DeFi. So borrowing against your assets and then putting those to work to earn yield streams and different fees and liquidity mining by earning new tokens. So there's ways to accumulate value here than just swing trading and just sitting waiting for moon. And I think, we're at the forefront of this. So some people are going to take advantage of it. Some people are going to sit on the sidelines, and some people are going to continue trading. If you're a trader, that's great. That's very hard to do. So, they always say 80 to 90% of people fail doing that. But here, now you have an opportunity as a retail investor to participate from your non-custodial wallet in these financial products that nobody could censor. And basically, you're able to know all the rules of the game. They're built into the protocol and into the smart contract. And you're able to just earn right into your non-custodial wallet. I mean, I think it's just unbelievable that we're at this point in the crypto market where we have this opportunity. It's not like 2015, 2017, where it was like, oh, let's hit the next cycle. Everything's about cycles. But, I think that's going to get old after a while. I'm sorry. I just think that's going to get old.
I'm tired of it.
I think a lot of people are missing that there's a whole new cycle taking place right now. It has nothing to do with that whole spec cycle. That spec cycle is based on Bitcoin, people buying and then trying to sell to somebody else who wants to pay more for it. But now we have other reasons to hold the assets. So if you create other types of storage demand, like I have a reason to hold this asset like Songbird or Spark because I'm earning compounding rewards with it. So then I'm going to be less likely to sell it. Same goes for staking assets. Like there's 60-70% of Cardano, ADA staked. Same with Polkadot, it's staked. So that's going to have an effect on these so-called market cycles. So when you look back at 2015, 2017, I just think it's changed so much. It might take a delay before we get to new types of cycles, but I think there's this cycle taking place right now. And you know what it's called, Patty? It's called the utility cycle.
Oh, I like that. I really like that.
We're here. I mean, this is utility. I mean, if you call it whatever it is, it's utility of the asset. Governance is utility. Staking is utility. FTSO is utility. DeFi lending, borrowing, liquidity pools is utility. I just want to throw one other thing in there about the Canary dollar that we didn't specify. You're not going to be able to move the Canary dollar out of the ecosystem, though. So you're not going to be able to take Canary dollar and go to fiat, not that I'm aware of, not in the beginning. So if you want to use it as a trade, you're just going to have to stay in that ecosystem. So I don't think you're going to be able to get out of there, Patty, out of ExFi.
Yeah, so the way I was thinking about it, yeah, let's say you have Songbird and it runs up to $1 and you wanted to sell some because it had a bunch of price appreciation. You could sell it into Canary dollars and just kind of hold those Canary dollars until the volatility on Songbird chills out. And then you could swap it back into Songbird, send it to BitTrue, and swap it into whatever asset you need to use to cash out. That's kind of the path right now. So it's not super easy. Flare is going to be a lot more spread out across exchanges, but we also may start seeing exchanges list Songbird places. So hopefully that will help as well. And, I'd love to see in the future a stablecoin get on there that's listed with exchanges. I know people want to smash Tether all the time, but I would love to see if Tether got issued on Flare or Songbird in the future, just because it is a really great means to cash out via an exchange. And the stable coins that are going to be present on Songbird and Flare are going to have to prove themselves and have enough volume running through them before any exchanges pick them up. So, that's going to take some time for the ecosystem to ramp up. It's all about money for them in the bottom line. They're not just going to take assets for fun. It's going to have to be something that benefits them.
And also one other application that is being built is the Trustline and Probity Vault. So Probity Vault is going to act like a decentralized bank, basically on the Flare network, and they're also going to be on Songbird. And then Trustline is going to be the custodial wallet app, basically, that connects to the Solaris bridge, which connects Flare network to the XRP Ledger. So that's going to involve a lot of XRP Ledger stuff with Trustline. So that's something we'll cover in the future, but I just want everyone to know that's a big project being built there. That was funded by Ripple. I mean, $100,000 was given from the grants from Ripple to it. It's a former Ripple dev. And the project has the support of the Flare Networks team, too. So it was one of their blogs. And I think that's really going to be powerful because what that's going to do, it's going to send RA, which is a decentralized stablecoin pegged to the dollar, onto the XRP Ledger. And now it's going to give the XRP Ledger DEX the second decentralized asset ever behind XRP, but it's going to be pegged to the dollar. So it's something that more things will trade against because XRP is always going to be volatile. Don't listen to anyone who ever says it's just going to be a stable coin because we could create these other types of stable coins. Why do we need XRP to be stable when we could have things like RA, YUSD? They're backed by crypto and they could be stable and decentralized. So we want XRP to be volatile so it goes up in value over time. We don't want the thing to be stable at just a hype. If that's crazy talk.
I'd rather just put a stable coin on the XRP ledger and use it if XRP was stable.
But
there's no reason for it. Yeah.
But here's the key is that RA is going to be backed by FXRP. So you're using XRP's value to actually back this stablecoin. So in a way, you're just transforming XRP into RA with a stable price pegged to USD, but it's locking up FXRP in there. And now if you lock your FXRP in there, you earn the same Spark rewards, and then you're able to mint the stablecoin right into your, I think, Zum wallet, they said. and you'll be using XRP Ledger DEX. That's what we need on the ledger, because, centralized stablecoins backed by fiat have a place. Like Patty said, they're good to move around and on-ramp and off-ramp for exchanges. But these decentralized stablecoins also have a huge role to play, like RA and like YUSD and the Canary dollar. They're going to have a role to play, and they're backed by crypto. So they're using crypto. They're not using the dirty fiat. So I think that's important. They're just using the peg. That's all.
Absolutely. And
we'll see where that goes, because that could be, we could get into a long discussion about this, because Ripple technically has their whole escrow, all that XRP. I mean, they technically could mint a bunch of FXRP and then put that as collateral and mint RA, which is backed by XRP. I mean, technically they could do that. And this is why I think the SEC case is so important, that they don't want any restrictions for XRP. They're not going to agree to a settlement where they have like some agreement with the SEC with XRP. No. Brad Garlinghouse said it. They need to be able to use XRP just like a currency, just the way Flare Finance is using Songbird there. Ripple wants to be able to use XRP in the same way.
Absolutely. Any other topics you want to cover, Mickey? Or
does anybody have any questions? Let's see if anybody has questions about the signal providers, the reward system, because I know that I've seen some questions in the comments. So we've tried to answer what we can down there. But if you have any now, please.
Let me address a couple things.
Sure.
Just because, we get like a lot of comments about people having issues with doing certain things as far as moving assets. Maybe you can't withdraw from Bitrue. If you can't withdraw from Bitrue right now, and it's been 24 hours since you either received the Songbird or bought it, then I would go ahead and reach out to Bitrue support. I bet if a bunch of people are having a similar issue, then they're more likely to get onto it. There's nothing that anybody here in the chat or we can do for you if you can't withdraw your assets from Bitrue. Also, just know if you change your trading password and stuff like that on Bitrue, it will lock your assets for 24 hours from withdrawal. So that could be the issue if you did it. You can go to the My Assets page. So like on the screen up here in the top right, it says Assets. You can click on My Assets, go in there, and it'll tell you if any of them are frozen or if you can withdraw them. So check that. And then also, as far as using Bifrost, or let's say you got to use Ledger connection to MetaMask and able to send over to Bifrost. If you're having issues with that, go check out our video from last Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday. I believe it's called Transferring Songbird from Ledger to Bifrost. Some common issues I know people have: make sure you're connected to the Songbird network on MetaMask. Make sure you have the Ethereum application open in your Ledger device before connecting the bridge as well. Those are important things. If you can't get anything to work, the other option is to import your seed phrase into Bifrost. Also, Bifrost does have a support page where you can comment or send a message to them, and they'll get back to you with technical issues. So just those are all resources, at your fingers to be able to use. And it's really hard, if we don't know exactly what steps you've taken so far, where the process is failing and things like that, it gets really hard to kind of troubleshoot for people. So definitely suggest reaching out to those entities in regards to all that. And then let's see. Oh, okay. Here's a good one, Mickey. So Mr. Pock wants to know, how do we know when the votes are locked in? So right now, I don't know if there's going to be something that, on the blockchain.
I think on Saturday, they have to be locked in by.
Yes, I think that they're wanting to know, how will we know? So far, signal providers have been doing a lot of tweeting. So that's kind of been how we've been getting information, or I've just been messaging them. So they've been pretty vocal on Twitter. That's a good place. Whenever we see that stuff, we tweet it off our accounts as well. The other thing that they just added, oh man, I could have swore they added some new. Man, I swear this morning this had more data on it. I don't know if they had to pull it back. Maybe it's on this
Well, I
page.
just want to throw one thing out here. With the Flare Limited team, why they're not putting out so much info. I think it's important that Flare Limited wants to not be like the Ripple of the Flare network and Songbird. This is going to be a decentralized, community-driven network. And whenever this foundation is introduced, then they're going to be the one who will kind of take the lead, put out the reports. Flare Limited is just going to be a participant like everybody else. They're not going to be like at the forefront, holding our hand through the whole thing. And you could kind of see that here. I think we just kind of got to accept that. Hugo told us that they're not going to be, out there in front telling us every single little thing, holding our hand, putting out hype announcements. They're going to launch the network, put it out there for everyone. Now it's coming out of observation mode. And, they might put out some documentations and some blogs, but they don't want to be the face of the Songbird Network and the Flare Network. We got to remember, these are decentralized, community, public, open blockchains run by the community. They're not run by the Flare Limited team. So I think we just need to accept that as a mindset. And I know coming from XRP, you always saw Ripple as the face of it. Even though the network was decentralized, they kind of guided the way. They were the steward. Well, Flare's Limited's not going to be the steward. They're just going to be a participant. All right. So I just want to give everyone so they understand to know what to expect from Flare Limited. That's all.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's a great explanation.
Good or bad thing. It is what it is.
I think it's just going to at least keep us from ever being argued against as a security as far as the Spark or Songbird token. So, if we got to do a little extra work and be a little up in the air, it is Songbird right now. So at least we get to learn this all before Flare launches, since it should be pretty much the same. And Nikki, this next one from Cowabunga Joe, any word on being able to use Songbird and ExFi and keep delegating your vote to signal providers? So that's a great question. Yeah. So we know there's two types of delegations. We have explicit and percentage based. If you've been delegating so far, you more than likely have used percentage based. And what that means is that whenever Wrap Songbird enters into your address, it goes out in the percentages you've already set up. Explicit delegation is you can delegate to more than two signal providers, but you can actually choose them and say how many tokens you want to delegate individually. Now, when it comes to ExFi, they're going to have smart contracts that are holding Songbird in them or Spark on Flare Finance. And we know that Trustline and Probity, they successfully did a test where you can delegate a vote outside from in a CDP smart contract to a signal provider and still earn rewards. The one thing we don't know is how exactly they're going to have that set up. I would imagine, depending on what kind of dApp it is, it'd be set up differently. So if you think about a liquidity pool that may have Songbird in it, people are going to be swapping assets in and out of there all the time. And also there's going to be many different people's assets in that pool that are providing liquidity. So to me, having a percentage-based delegation for that kind of smart contract makes the most sense. But then if we're opening CDPs and everybody's going into their own smart contract, maybe having explicit delegation makes sense and people can choose. We're just not sure exactly how they're going to go about doing that. We just know it's possible.
Yeah, because what if I have a CDP that has 100 Songbird and say I want to add 100 more? It's possible to do this. They've already said it. It was built for the F asset system. So when agents or anyone stakes actual Spark in that F asset system, agents put it there, they're able to delegate to the signal providers. So all that Spark that's used as collateral, those agents are just racking up the rewards while they do that. So that was the initial design. Now it's being adapted for the different dApps, right? So we know Trustline's able to do it. It's going to be interesting to see how they do the liquidity pools, because that's one where, like you said, it's going to be people swapping in and out, all different assets moving, liquidity, slushing around back and forth. And it just would be nice if we could earn. Remember, this only applies to Songbird and Spark. None of the other assets. Not like F assets. That's going to be a little different. When that comes along, we'll go into that, but we don't want to go into that today. But yeah, it's going to be able, this is the difference between proof of stake networks, where you lock a token up, you lose the value. There it is. It's in the staking system. You can't use it. With this, you're going to be able to earn from the signal provider and those inflation rewards, and you're going to be able to utilize its value in like a collateral deposition. So now this allows you to earn from that FTSO system or STSO and utilize its value here to borrow against. And that's going to be very appealing to institutions in the future, because it gives utility to the token. Now you have this yield stream just funneling in more rewards, and you have its value over here and to the right in a smart contract, and you're borrowing against it. So it's very appealing, I think, compared to a lot of traditional assets out there. It's giving it more functions, I guess would be the word.
Yep, absolutely. And so this kind of goes into this, I think this last question we'll take, Mickey, from E4 Rockin. He says, if I choose a new delegate today, do I forfeit rewards of the delegation till the next epoch? So the answer is no. And I actually did this yesterday when I unwrapped Songbird tokens and sent them to Bitrue. I'm still accruing rewards. I haven't brought them back. There's actually no Songbird in my Bifrost wallet right now. It's on Bitrue, and I'm still getting rewards from when I got locked in for the last epoch. So that just means, let's say you have your delegation lock in this Thursday. You could move your assets somewhere else if you wanted to. You could unwrap them, and you would be rewarded for the whole epoch that comes up. You would just have to have them back by the time the next one gets locked in to continue the delegation and earning rewards.
And that lock-in period is random. Anytime between Thursday morning and Saturday, it will lock those. So you want to leave them delegated for those, I guess, 3 days, Patty, and not touch them to be safe between Thursday morning and Saturday, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think we'll get in the habit of where we can see, maybe on a website or a signal provider will say, hey, the blockchain has said this is the lock-in, so you're free to move now. But that's just something you have to keep an eye out for. And like we said, on the safe side, if you want to delegate for a new epoch, do it Wednesday night before you go to bed. That's the safest time you can do. Otherwise, you could get into the period where it's randomly chosen.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory from the Bifrost wallet. You literally just hit the undelegate button. It'll free up a certain percentage, and I'll delegate both, and then redo it to different signal providers. That's literally all you got to do. And when you do claim the rewards, it's going to come as native Songbird. It's not going to come as wrap Songbird. So when you do claim the rewards, you'll have to wrap those Songbird and then delegate those. Okay? And you'll have a couple days to do that because you'll get your rewards on Saturday. So you won't get your rewards from this week until this next delegation period starts. So then the compounding effect will begin after that.
There you go. So I think that's going to wrap it up for us. This is the DeFi Standard. I'm Patty XRP.
And I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
And we are out. See y'all.